death.
Oh.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. This is Tom Cosentino with Katrina Roshan, and this is Park Right Here. Today we have the pleasure of talking with Gary Shaughnessy from England. This is the first time we've gone across the pond. Matter of fact, this is probably the first time we've left the US. So this is kind of exciting for us, and if there's any problems with the internet, we're just going to blame it on England, because we're a much more advanced country than they are. But so we want to take a minute and let Gary introduce himself, tell us who he is, what makes him, what drives him with Parkinson's, and why does he do what he does. So Gary, welcome to the US.
Thank you, Tom. I'm not sure about the comments about technology, but as I'm the least able technology individual, I'll let it go for this evening.
Well, we appreciate that. It's very nice of you.
That is, I think,
yeah. And thank you for your patience.
That's all right.
Absolutely.
So I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 10 years ago. I'm now the chair of Parkinson's UK, and to be honest, the main thing for me has been exercise and really focusing on what I can do to make a difference and slow the progression of the condition down, on the one hand, but also how I can use my voice and my influence within the UK to raise the voices of all people with Parkinson's, to increase funding and to increase awareness of the fact that having Parkinson's doesn't mean that's it. You're on the scrap heap and end of life. It means that for most people it's the start of a new life. It's not a nice condition to have by any means, but lots of people I know have been very impressive in the way that they've got into their next phase of life, helped other people, taken on new careers, become a different person in many ways. And I think the assumption is you should just give up and go into a corner. And I think that's just such a bad assumption, and it's fatally wrong. And it's important that we make sure that people with Parkinson's understand it's not necessarily the case, and without Parkinson's understand that they should have a different view of the Parkinson's fraternity.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those people. I was a nurse and I got young onset at 40. Well, the symptoms started at 42. And so obviously I can't hold people's lives in my hands anymore. So and I'm turned 360 and doing the podcast with Tom, and also volunteering with Davis Finney and APDA, which is American Parkinson's Disease Association. I just became a board member of their Virginia chapter. I represent the western part of the forgotten mountain part of Virginia, the Appalachia Hillbillies, as we are well known for. So
and well reason to forget them.
And it's a resource desert. I mean, we don't even have a neurologist within an hour. And, and I have to drive 4 hours because I had DBS in 2021.
Right.
So, and I've had Parkinson's about 13 years now, I think.
Oh.
Well, Katrina, you raise a good thought there. Gary, how is the access to movement disorder specialists in the UK?
It's very variable depending upon where you are. Overall, the specialist consultants and Parkinson's specialists in a variety of forms there are more clearly in Western Europe and in the US per head of population than there are in Latin America, Asia Pacific, and Africa. But the UK is below average in Europe compared to Europe. But I think there's a further point, Tom, which is there are some brilliant consultants and experts out there who also have a very good approach to how they support the Parkinson's community. But there are some who are very, their bedside manner could do with improving a hell of a lot, if I say that. So when I was diagnosed, I didn't know what Parkinson's was. And the conversation broadly went, you've got a neurodegenerative condition. There is no cure. I can't do anything to reverse it or stop it, but I can help you mask it. But over time, they'll become less effective, and the drugs you take will start to have more of an impact on you and could be worse than the condition you've got. But we'll have to see how that goes. Now that is and that something like that has been reported to me from lots of people who are looking for help when they get diagnosed. And actually, it's so unnecessary because there are things that people can do. I was very fortunate that my wife was incredibly supportive, and literally a few weeks after that diagnosis, I was out running when I was abroad in Lisbon on business, and I was just getting slower and slower and slower. It was a very early morning run, and I had just, nearly got myself into a dark space. And I rang Janet and I said, if this is the way things are going to be, I don't know whether I don't know how I can deal with this. And she said, you've got a long-term condition. You could run last week, so you can run this week. It may not be as quick, but you can still run. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. And I've done 50 marathons since then. The way it's changed my attitude has been, I can do things, and I just need to focus on doing them rather than allowing people to put a limit on, a ceiling on you. I'm a double world record holder now. I've done one of the hardest triathlons in the world. I've cycled across Europe, which has all been with huge amount of support from friends and family, and just with that mindset that says, I'm not going to let this roll me over, and I want to live life, love life, and stop Parkinson's. And I've just been so inspired by so many people in the Parkinson's community who work together and help each other. It's made a massive difference.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm starting to learn that working with APDA and also working with Davis Finney. They had been trying to connect, but they weren't able to through St. Louis. So now we're doing it the back way. And it's just, we're all on the same team. I mean, there's about 1 million new people every year are diagnosed in the U.S. I'm not sure what it is around the world. And I've gotten stories from a man in Uganda whose mother had Parkinson's, and they thought it was witchcraft. And she was abandoned by her entire family to starve and die because they thought it was a demon. They thought it was contagious. And so his goal now is to, he puts bumper stickers on taxis. And it's a real saying, Parkinson's is a real disease.
Yeah. And it's so sad to hear that kind of situation. But, I think getting people to recognize that Parkinson's is it's not a nice condition, but it's not life-ending, and it's
not fatal.
And it's not a witchcraft or anything like that. It's a reality that we need to deal with, and we need to find a solution to, because it's the fastest growing major neurological condition in the world.
Yeah.
More people are living with it, so we've got to support them.
Yeah, and
And I think most people want empathy. They don't want sympathy.
that, and they want real people, and
Yeah.
not just somebody who writes a check
I'm
and
trying to take a new
never
approach
see
to
them
all
again.
this.
And that was one thing APDA said they didn't want to come out to Western Virginia, because Western Virginia is it's very different culture than the eastern part of Virginia, because that's more near DC and Washington DC. And so where I live, I mean, I'm very rural. You have to drive over a creek to get on a wooden bridge to get to my house. That's right beside the railroad tracks. And behind the house is a holler. So I am very rural and in the South, and it's just surprising to me how much trouble it is even to get simple medications, like even Cinemet, like in other countries. So what would you say is the UK's biggest issue? Would it be price of medication, availability, access, when it comes to meds?
So I think it's two or three things. Firstly, getting medication on time is a real problem, particularly when people go into hospital. So when that dosage is something that is passed to the healthcare staff, they don't necessarily recognise just how much difference it can make to people if they have their medication at different hours than they're used to. So that's a big issue. The second thing that I've certainly seen is since Brexit, there have been some challenges with the supply chains for all the sort of regular use drugs in the UK. And again, I think it's about understanding the impact. And I think a lot of the medical profession don't recognise how much impact that can have on individuals. But actually, I have my local pharmacist. He is brilliant, and he's really supportive. I go in and I see him, and I say, I'm going off as I am in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Montreal on business, and I want to make sure that I've got my medication sorted, and he's spot on. So I think in the UK we're lucky that we've got, both qualified and competent and decent people. We've obviously got some who don't have the awareness of the impact of Parkinson's, but there's plenty of good people. And I think we've got to be better at celebrating the people who are very good and recognizing them. And then hopefully some of the ones who are less good will learn the lesson.
There is a really good resource on the Parkinson's Foundation website. It's a hospital safety guide for you to take anytime you have any surgery, even if it's an appendectomy or just something simple, basic. And it's for your doctor and your nurses and for them to understand how important it is to get your meds on time.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good resource. You can go there and check it out. And that's one thing that's hard is where do you guys go mostly in the UK to find the proper information?
Well, I'm biased on this because I chair Parkinson's UK, but I think we provide some very good and broad sets of information for people. We deal with, so there's about 150,000 people in the UK who have been diagnosed with Parkinson's. 18,000.
What, you're the size of New Jersey?
Yeah, we're not the same size as the US, but there's a lot of people, and 18,000 each year are added to that list. And I think giving them support, we deal with over 200,000 web inquiries, over 20,000 telephone calls every year. We have Parkinson's nurses in the UK. 70% of Parkinson's nurses, and these are specialist nurses with expertise around Parkinson's, 70% of them were funded via Parkinson's UK in the first place. So, but having said that, I mean, that's a great example. The Parkinson's nurses have an average sort of range of patients of nearly 1,000 people. That's just way too much.
Yeah.
So we need to have more Parkinson's nurses, and if you live in a rural area in the UK, that can be a real problem.
Yeah, definitely. I live in the rural, and I was a nurse for 20 years before Parkinson's, and there's so many people go off on these tangents and go off on natural remedies and all of that. So there's really only a couple. I know me and Tom always say this, but there's really only a couple of websites you really need to look at. We will definitely add Parkinson's UK to that list with Michael J. Fox, Davis Finney Foundation, and also APDA. And they're good. They're really good to find a support group. That's their big thing, is to get support groups to the rural areas, and they're helping me right now. And
so we have, it's not quite the same to rural areas, but I was earlier this week. I was at the St. Helens Parkinson's group for their 40th birthday celebrations. We have 300 groups, over 300 groups in the UK. The people in St. Helens that we saw, I mean, what really comes across is we've got a great community who support each other when times are tough, but also, you know, we're all dealing with something that we don't really understand. I mean, I certainly wouldn't like to pretend I understand Parkinson's fully, and talking to someone can often just be the best way to share the problem out, and feel that someone else is prepared to listen to you.
Yeah,
you don't always have to have answers, you know.
Yeah, that was it. There was a lady from Ecuador. She would continuously call me, and I, just for somebody to talk to. Yeah. And we call off WhatsApp, and of course I'd have to use Google Translate and all that. But she said, it's so frustrating. She couldn't even get Cinemet. She was like a 6-month waiting list just to get basic Cinemet.
And this isn't about cost, really, is it? Because the cost of Cinemet,
accessibility,
it's availability, access, and I think we need to put more pressure on governments and health colleagues to support people globally. I mean, I found when I lived in Switzerland for 3 years, and actually it was a very adult to adult health system, and that's I think that's a lot to be said for it, actually. There are obviously drawbacks as well, but I do think, Katrina, that this whole point of how the community helps each other is really key, because I don't know, but I suspect there's 5 or 6 or more types of Parkinson's, and we're still at the point where we're learning more. In the UK we have a brain bank, which is a way of us understanding more over time. But I think sharing with other people your situation tends to also, we're all learning tips of what works, what doesn't work, nutrition, when the effects that protein can have, all of those kind of things.
Yeah,
protein. It's all about chatting, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's great that that we can connect across the pond.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and that actually is a good segue to PD Avengers, because I know one of their big things is getting accessibility worldwide.
Yeah.
So, would you like to tell everyone about PD Avengers and how you and Larry got started with that?
Well, I mean, for me, I was one of, I think there was about 12 or 14 of us early days, but Larry and Sonia were clearly very big advocates, and we were starting to try and do something similar in the UK with Paul Mayhew Archer, and Sally as well was trying to do this, and it was really about how do we widen. You know, we're all doing the same thing. We're all making the same point to government. We're all raising our voices, and basically, from my point of view, I felt it was better for me to get in and support Larry and the team and be behind them and really reinforce their voice than try and duplicate things. So that's why I got involved in PD Avengers at the start, and it's really been impressive the way they've taken things on, and you know,
I think that's where we met.
we did,
Yes.
and but it's I come back to the fact that I think what PD Avengers have done very well is keep the personality of the, you know, the people who are involved. So it's not just a, you know, a routine or a tick box. I mean, Larry is a great example of someone who cares, and is clearly he's going through things himself, but he cares about other people, and that's really impressive.
Yeah, I spoke to him. He's going to be our next guest next week. So,
Right.
and he's doing very well after DBS, and he's healing well, and I'm really grateful for that. I actually met him at a Michael J. Fox conference years ago,
Right.
when I was thinking about the podcast, and that's back before he started working for Michael J. Fox. You know, more on the podcast and stuff. And he was so generous. He gave me names and, you know, help, you know, get things started. And I wanted, you know, I want to grow our channel, of course, but I also, you know, want to touch, even if just one person, you know, feels better today because of what we talked about, that makes me very, very happy.
I totally agree with that, and I think for me this comes back to the importance of a positive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
With anything.
well, it does apply to anything, but it's when I was first diagnosed, as I say, took me into a very dark place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
We've all been there.
and my family were absolutely superb. My kids have continued to be so, that all my family and relations, and I think it made me realize how lucky I was to have the support that I have in place, which not everyone has. And I've had that with work. I've had that with you know, colleagues. I've had it with friends, and I've had it with family. And I think we've got to accept that not everyone is in that situation. So it's really crucial that we help people feel that they've got control and that they've got people to turn to. So, you know, one of the things that we're looking at doing is how can we improve the way that people on the first diagnosis, how can we improve the information they get, but the network that we create and the support infrastructure that we put in for them. Because I think that becomes a ripple. You know, if we treat people well and they feel that we've helped them, they'll help the next generation as well.
Yeah, Tom just texted me and he apologized. His internet is not working very well, so that's why he disappeared.
Understood. I was looking forward to talking about the fact that we share a surname. So his history, his ancestors were O'Shaughnessy's or O'Shaughnessy's, well, minor Shaughnessy's, but they're all from the west of Ireland.
You guys will have to connect on Facebook. I think he
Yeah.
sent you a message, and you guys, yeah. Tom is the funny to my straight man, so he's the one with the dad jokes.
Ah,
Because I mean, humor is a great medicine as well, and because it was like I know you're aware of a lot of the stuff I've been going through this past summer, and I had lost my father in May. My mother is on hospice right now. I'm at my mom's house. I'm helping care for her. My marriage was for a little bit, but the distance and the absence makes a heart grow fonder.
yeah.
And all of this. And I remember Tom telling me, he goes, now this God that you believe in, isn't he not supposed to give you more than you can handle? And I said, well, I don't look at it that way, because when I wake up every morning, I say, God, I can't do this by myself. I need your strength, because I ain't got none. And for me, it's faith. And so, I mean, you need to, realize that you're not alone. There are more and more people, because they estimated, well, in the U.S. anyway, with 1 million diagnosed, how many are undiagnosed? Because I think every parkie has my symptoms started date, and I was finally diagnosed date. And mine was about 3 years. It took about 3 years.
Yeah, I struggle with knowing when, because my sense of smell went quite a bit before I had my tremor. But I mean, I tell you, the thing that really does impress me though is just how decent people are in the community. And I think I mean, I'll give you a good example. We just literally a couple of weeks ago come back from Norway, where we cycled, 21 of us cycled from the Arctic Circle, from the bottom of the Arctic Circle to Tromsø in the north of Norway, and 13, I think it was 13, had have Parkinson's. 8 didn't. We did a cycle last year from Brighton to Barcelona for the World Parkinson.
Hey, Tom.
And the support in that group is just unreal. Really decent people from Canada, from the UK, from Norway. And the only thing that connects us in the first place was having Parkinson's. But we're now all good friends, and I feel we're there for each other, and it really makes a big difference. It teaches you. I mean, I was, before I was diagnosed, I was in a very straight-laced corporate role, and I enjoyed that, and I learned a lot. But being diagnosed taught me a lot about myself. I've ended up doing something that I feel I'm making a difference with the chair of Parkinson's UK, and also the work that I do with the Zurich Foundation. But I'm a better person. I mean, I really wish I didn't have Parkinson's, but I am a better person at having it. It's taught me to, be a better manager, be a better father, be a better husband.
Yeah, the same for me.
Whether the kids and Janet would agree with those last things, I don't know, but...
Yeah, I have a 30-year-old millennial and a 17-year-old Gen Z. And my daughter was 16, and she went to a Davis Finney conference. She actually got to meet Tom. She thought Tom was the funniest thing since sliced bread. she adores Tom, and I actually got to meet Davis Finney. I started a hug fest. I started it, and then he went around and hugged everybody. And it's just that kind of community is what you need. I think everybody needs it.
I agree. So I got 64 different people speaking different languages to do a video saying, love life, live life, love life, stop Parkinson's. And the point of doing that was, we're all connected, we're all humans. We may have different languages, we may have different perspectives, but we're all humans, and we can all be supportive to each other if we're prepared to listen to each other. And it doesn't take much to get a connection with people right the way across the world.
No, not nowadays.
No.
When I was 12, we moved to West. My dad was in the military. We moved to West Germany during the Cold War. No cell phone, no video games, no. I mean, I think VCRs came out when we were over there, and a brand new Sony Betamax was $1,000. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So nowadays we can reach so many people, and that's my heart. I want us to reach as many people around the world as we can.
So last year we cycled, myself and friends cycled from Liverpool to the Ukrainian border to both support Parkinson's, but also to raise awareness and funds for young people who are dealing with the stress and mental health trauma of being, dislocated from their country, their loved ones, their friends, and their whole way of life.
Yeah.
And again, we learned so much going through each of the different countries, and we have a Ukrainian family who are living with us, and I've learned so much from them as well. They're lovely people, and they're in an awful situation, being literally having to leave your home and travel, to a completely strange place and set up life again is, whatever you think of the situation in, this is about children who just do not deserve the situation they're living with, and I think that applies for lots of the conflicts in this world. It's the children who suffer most and have done least to deserve it.
Yeah,
it's funny that you bring that up, because I'm at my point now that I don't do everything I used to do, and I hired these two local kids who I thought were local kids to do some work around the house, and I noticed the Eastern European accent, and I said, "Where are you from?" The one boy said Ukraine, the other boy said from Russia, and it was really refreshing, because they say, what's happening in Russia doesn't represent the entire Russian community. We're friends because we're friends, and I found that very refreshing.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tom. I mean, kids are kids, and they grow up, but if you put them in a situation where they have to lose touch with their family, their friends, their sense of certainty, that's humankind can be wonderful, and we can be abysmal, and we've just got to make sure that the wonderful survive and act the abysmal.
Well, I want to pick up on something you said earlier, if I may. Unfortunately, I lost the connection. I think that's because I made fun of England when we first started. That was my, karma came back to get me. But you were talking about your pharmacist and what a wonderful relationship you have with him. As much as I like to think I got a great neurologist, he is not anything against him, but he's never talked to me about physical therapy, about exercise, about mental health. He's just my neurologist, my movement disorder specialist, and I would put him against anybody in the profession for being a neurologist. But thing that I'm looking at now too is like is more of a holistic approach. There's so many different people that touch your lives: physical therapists, occupational therapists, psychiatrists, neurologists, yoga instructors, whatever. Yet there's no common thing, no common portal, if you will, bringing them all together as a group. We're dealing with, we're monitoring and juggling all these different balls in the air, and it's got to be very difficult for people.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's difficult because the more that you focus on specialists, the more that you need 20 different people looking at different things. I think this is where technology can be a real help, actually. When you think about things that your smartwatch can tell you, so that you can get information, and then maybe have someone who's a specialist advocate who can help you pull that information together.
Yes, and
well, I'm a big fan now. I have an Apple Watch. There's a program I have on my Apple Watch called Neuro RPM, Neuro RPM, and it tracks in almost real time my symptoms, my on time, my off time, dyskinesia, bradykinesia, and also I put in one of my medication times, and I can see the direct relationship between my off time and my meds. And so with my advice of my neurologist, I'm trying to tweak my meds somewhat to see if I can find that, if you will, that sweet spot where I'm not taking too much carbidopa, levodopa. So now I'm taking less more often during the day. And instead of having the ups and downs, I'm trying to smooth it out a little bit.
What was the name of that?
That's something technology. Oh, it's called Neuro, Neuro RPM.
RPM? Okay. I'm going to post that on the...
Yeah, it does require, one of the drawbacks is it requires a prescription from your neurologist, because I think they're still doing FDA.
Hey, another Gary.
But there's another one that works. Neuro RPM only works with the iPhone, but there's another app called Strive, STRIVE, and Strive works with any watch.
So I have to tell you, I've seen Gary coming up on our on the chat. I was asked by Radio Berkshire recently how I felt about the fact that Gary is dying out as a name in the UK. So the Gary was a big name with Gary Cooper in the 60s and 50s and 60s, but it's on the decline. So to the Gary in the chat, I think we have an obligation to try and encourage people to bring Gary back into fashion. I think I've never been fashionable, but I'll try to see what we can do.
I can join that bandwagon.
That sounds good. The other thing I was going to say was, I think, if you don't mind, I could share an example.
No, not at all.
I think one thing that having Parkinson's has done for me is it's made me think more about, the way that I behave and the things that we take for granted. So I say I do marathons, and I was on the train going to collect my marathon bib for the London Marathon back in 2017, I think this was. And I'm on the tube, and I hadn't taken my medication, and I'm holding the strap, and my arm is doing this. And it was a packed tube, and I looked up, and there was a guy sat down maybe 10, 12 feet from me, and he had shaven head. He had tattoos down both sides of his neck, and he was staring at me. And I looked at him, and I thought, I really don't need this. This is I've clearly upset this guy, and I'm struggling. I really don't need this. So I looked away. The train came into the station, stopped. Some people got off, some people got on. I hoped he'd got off, but he was still there. And he got up and he started to walk towards me. And I thought, oh no, we've really got a problem here. And he literally came up to me and he said, you look like you're having a problem. Do you want my seat? And the point was, I judged this guy based purely on the fact of
absolutely.
what he looked like, the fact that he was, other people were in suits, he wasn't. And he was a really decent person who was looking out for, for others. And I think we all become, it's a bit easy to assume, isn't it,
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big lesson. It taught me.
Well, it's funny. My older brother is a Harley biker, an iron steel worker, retired with tattoos everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm just pretty much just the opposite of that. My bike is a Cannondale, not a Harley. I don't have tattoos, but he's got the biggest heart I've ever met in somebody. One of the things you said about Parkinson's is, you can't judge others because you don't want to be judged yourself.
Yeah. I think it's.
Someone asked me once, why is everybody your best friend? I'm like, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. I think if you treat people the right way, they respond in kind, and it's it's very powerful, actually.
Yeah. Someone that when I was working asked me once, why is everybody your best friend? I'm like, well, one, it's a good business decision to work with friends versus work with enemies, if you will. But secondly, why wouldn't I want to treat you like a friend? I mean, what am I to gain by not treating you like a friend? And that's carried on with the Parkinson's. And and everybody, it's interesting because we belong to almost a special club, if you will, now. If somebody has Parkinson's, they're immediately my best friend because we have those shared experiences. It's kind of like when I was in the military. If I see another guy in uniform, we're automatically friends because we have those shared experiences.
Yeah. It's very powerful. It really does make a big difference. And it shows you what we're missing when we don't do it.
And I thing I find fascinating between Davis Finney and APDA is that a lot of them are run by young people, like millennials. The chairman of the board is he's a psychologist, but he's under 30, like 27, and then of course Davis Finney. You've got young people there too, who we answer to. I put that in air quotes just for you, Tom.
So I'll be going to Montreal next in the next couple of weeks. They've got a thing called One Young World. With my Zurich Foundation hat on, we support that, which is basically to give support and opportunities to young entrepreneurs from across the world.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these people are just brilliant. There's a lady I met there last year who created some software. It's called Ripple to help when people are searching for suicide methods and so on online. It kind of moves them to go to specialists who can help them. And it was just brilliant the way that she worked out how to do this and making a big difference to people in a very difficult situation in their lives, And this software is...
Well, we were at a symposium once that was run at Davis Finney. We had a symposium that was run by these young people, if you will. And so I asked the question, because we're all at different hotels, could we just meet for breakfast? Just a simple continental breakfast. And that way we can, because we don't, I never met Katrina until we went to the symposium. And that way we can get to know each other. And they said they were considering that, but they realized because we had such an early start, they didn't think it was possible. So when you were working, or when you work, Gary, what time in the morning do you start work?
I start, I normally start about 6:30 in the morning, but...
Okay, so I'm about the same, but...
My sleep
They
is
said they couldn't do it.
very,
Well, the
sorry.
rationale for not being able to do it was we start too soon, which is 9 a.m. in the morning. And I started laughing. I'm like, that's the most millennial thing I've ever heard in my life. 9 a.m. in the morning is too late to have or too early to have a breakfast.
Yeah.
Like by 9 a.m. in the morning, we've all been working an hour or 2 hours at that point. It's just a different generation. Not that it's good or bad, but it's just a generational thing.
It is, and I find, my generation, if you're not working, you're not doing something, you feel guilty about it.
Oh yeah.
And I think the current generation focus more on what are they achieving than, maybe how long they're at the desk or whatever. But I find it difficult to switch off, and but I think you've got to do that, and that's the other thing about exercise for me. It's a great way of, I can go and
Oh yeah.
I can go and go for a run, and I can't breathe, run, and think about the business at the same time. So I give up on the thinking about the business while I'm running, and that's a good thing for me.
Yeah,
Like when I play pickleball quite a bit, and I find when I'm playing, I'm just focused on the game, not focused on anything else but just the game. Where's that next shot going to be? If I hit the shot here, how is he going to return it? Where's my partner? And so we're thinking about things, but we're not thinking about things.
Tom, I've got one of the other trustees of Parkinson's UK is a great table tennis player.
It looks like I'm popping in and out again.
Okay, what's his name?
That's Brian, and we'll get you the details. But he's great to talk to, Brian, because you do get exactly that. He's so focused on the table tennis, he can't be distracted. So it's great to see. My table tennis, though, the kids hate it because I just defend. I'm just constantly just trying to get the ball over the net. I never play any attacking shots.
Did you watch the Olympics table tennis? That was amazing.
Yeah, they are. The talent of these people is just incredible.
Now, what is it? I have a funny thing right now. I got some merge or whatever from APDA. And of course, I have my Davis Finney. This is my Davis Finney. Let's see, there it is. Davis Finney chapstick.
Right.
What is that, chapstick?
Yep, and now I've got my APDA chapstick. What is it about chapstick and Parkinson's? I don't know, but
we can compete on anything.
Because one of the symptoms of Parkinson's is cracked lip.
Yeah, so I've got so much of this. It's unbelievable.
It's funny.
So, there was. Is it difficult? How many actual movement disorder clinics are in the UK?
Gosh, that's a good
By
question.
your guesstimate.
I don't know is the honest answer, and I wouldn't like to guess. But I can find out. I'll find out, and I'll come back to you with the
answer. Do you have DBS?
So here's the burning question I have.
Go ahead.
Go on, Tom.
Mr. Tom?
Oh, I was going to ask you, you mentioned earlier about ultra focused I believe, or focused ultrasound. Yeah. Are you leaning towards that?
Well, I'm interested.
There was just an article.
Yeah, I'm very interested to find out more because, to be honest, I mean, invasive, brain surgery, even with all the work they're doing, it's still, there are risks in there. Yeah. I know focused ultrasound won't be risk-free, but I really think it's worth understanding, the difference. And it's great to see that there is progress being made. in both spheres. I think.
And money
I'll send
wise.
you on separate email. I just posted something at the Davis Finney, discussion group. There was some recent research that came out on focused ultrasound using more, I guess, highly focused MRIs. I'll send that your way because, it seems like given the choice between the two, this is much less, I don't know, they're not cutting your head open. I mean, it's much less intrusive, and you can do it in a matter of hours and go home, and it's not surgery in the sense that they're putting implants.
I think the challenge is it does it work as well for Parkinson's? I think they've had more success on essential tremor, but I'm not an expert on this. But I do think your point is absolutely valid. That if you can make it simpler, easier, it's got to be a smart thing to do, hasn't it?
My neurosurgeon, he was he had a PhD in biomedical engineering before he became a doctor.
Yeah.
And then he became a neurologist, neurosurgeon. And so he uses the science along with the medical, and he came up with the robotic DBS, where the robots put the electrodes in your brain, and he has a much better result than people who are awake for the surgery, and the electrodes are placed by the doctors themselves. I was able to be asleep, which took a lot of anxiety off of me. We just had to stay in their they had a special place, a special ICU for us, and we stayed there overnight, and I was home the next day, and then I got the generators put in the next month, and then the month after that they turned it on. And it was funny because they turned it on too high, and I froze, and I couldn't talk. The first words out of my husband's mouth, he goes, "How do I do that at home?" So
I like that. That's a good man.
And he has a really good rapport with our docs. And now I go to the University of Virginia, which is like a 4-hour drive, but that's the closest place that I can get my DBS treated. So it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And Dr. Van Sickle is the most humble doctor I've ever met in my lifetime, and 20 years of nursing. I have met some God complex doctors, and I have fired a few, and I've gotten them fired, and so.
But you're right to flag. These with the experts that we've got now. Even things that seem very daunting actually can be a lot simpler than they were even a few years ago. So I just think if we keep progressing, keep focusing on how what's the best answer for people's needs, and are there different versions of Parkinson's that perform and act differently, we can make a big difference.
I want to throw one thing at you, Gary. What is it, 8 or 9 o'clock p.m. your time?
It's 9:15.
It's been a long day for you. You want to continue, or do you just want to say we just wrap it up?
Well, I'm fine if it.
I just want to.
Yeah, I get a bit tired as we get towards the end of the evening. I've been playing golf today as well. We had a Parkinson's golf day.
So you're golf and he's pickleball.
Yeah, my golf I'm not a very good golfer.
Yeah, I just want to be considerate of your time.
That's very kind of you. Maybe we could. Maybe if I just say a couple more things.
Sure.
And then we can wrap up.
We'll let you wrap it up.
I wanted to say thank you to both of you for reaching out to me. And, I think we are a community that will succeed if we work together and if we recognize that humanity at its best can move mountains. And I've been so impressed by people I've seen in the Parkinson's community and so inspired by people. And, it's a grim condition, but there are some great people. And I just wanted to recognize that and say I love being inspired by it, and I think we've all got to find ways of looking at the positives because it makes such a big difference.
So I got one last question for you. First, I want to thank you for your time. You've been that wise old sage, if you will. But I got a very important question to end this, and this is my sense of humor. What, America's Got Talent versus Britain's Got Talent? Which one's better?
I think whichever one doesn't have Simon Cowell in.
Good answer. That's a very good answer. I like that. So, on behalf of everybody.
So can I just mention, actually, a friend of ours, their son has been, he was playing Raoul in the West End in Phantom of the Opera. And his girlfriend is in Frozen. So when we went to doing the cycling in the Arctic, they all did a good luck message from Frozen to us because we were in the Arctic. The only thing was the temperature was 23 degrees, so it didn't quite work out as Frozen, but these guys were very supportive anyway.
That's very what I'm hoping.
Again, on behalf of
you're an inspiration, Gary, and I really thank you so much. Maybe we'll get something, and maybe you can pop in on Larry next week.
Well, if I can do it, I'd love to do it. And great to talk to you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about O'Shaughnessy's, Tom. And I look forward to meeting you guys in person at some point as well.
Yeah,
you got it.
On my bucket list is the UK because I am 85% British and Irish. So
very good.
Yeah. So
good stuff. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night and take some Motrin before you go to bed.
Some what? Sorry.
Motrin. The aspirin for body aches.
All right. I'll probably have a glass of wine before it's been a long day, and
probably just
a glass of wine's probably not bad. Right.
Good to see you. Until we talk again, have a wonderful time.
Thanks. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care. And so it's me and Tom here. What did you think, Tom? You have a question? Huh?
I just said what a wonderful individual, his outlook on life, what he's willing to do on behalf of the community. It's just amazing. It's, you see people like Gary and you have to ask yourself, what can I do? I can't do anything close to what he's doing because that's just amazing. But how can I help this community? It's just something that I think that both of us are willing to do. And we just got to find a way to do more, not do more, but everyone in the community just got to find a way to put this damn disease behind us.
Yeah, and encourage each other and love on each other and lift each other up. And
yep.
I know we've talked about it behind the scenes, but I know we're talking about increasing our footprint or whatever you want, increasing our brand, whatever.
Yeah.
That's weird to me. I feel like I'm, talking to a Gen Z but I do want to do that so we can reach more people. And so please, if you're watching this or if you're watching it later on after I post it on the group pages and Facebook, share it with your family, your friends, because 1 million people in the United States alone every year are diagnosed then think of the ones that aren't diagnosed,
Mhm.
and add a couple more million to that of the people who are affected by it, like spouses and families and friends and coworkers. And there's so many people who are touched by this disease, and we want to eradicate it. And I know it's
And if you
top
manage
hard,
to make it this far into the video, if
and
you
I know,
manage to make it this far in the video,
and make it this far and what?
I'm sorry, I think I'm lagging, but if you manage to make it this far in the video and you want to join us one day, just send us a note. We want to talk
Yeah.
to people with Parkinson's. Everyone's perspective is welcome. Everyone's perspective is unique, and we're all here to learn from each other. So
Yeah,
if you like
this
what you
is,
hear, if you think you want to jump on board, let us know.
yeah, this is your channel,
But
not
wait,
ours.
there's more.
Yeah,
And if you sign up
this is-
before midnight tonight, you'll get a Davis Finch chapstick.
but I've even been looking at merch to raise money for Davis and wherever we want the money to go. Doing some fundraising. Also, I'm going to say this out loud, which means I'm going to actually have to do it. But if you could comment either on wherever you're watching, or you can email us at parkrightherepodcast@gmail.com. That's our email. I was thinking of doing like little shorts of dancing, because dancing for me is my exercise. That's how I get my cardio and power moves, and I can do it all, in dancing. And there's a thing called Body Groove. It's out of California, and Misty Tripoli will be a guest on our podcast coming up in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
And she'll explain more about it. But it's really helped me, one, to lose weight. Two, it helps because it's not choreographed. You move your body how you can move your body. And with Parkinson's, and I had a spinal fusion done, it has helped me so much. So I was thinking of putting little inspirational 30-second dance clips on the shorts, YouTube shorts. If anybody thinks that would be a good idea. And I know me and Tom have talked about together he's in Delaware and I'm in Virginia, but over the internet, trying out different gadgets and for the kitchen or the living room or wherever, and see if they're worth your money or not, and see if they really work for Parkinson's. So, and with Tom being tremor dominant, and I'm more of the bradykinesia slowness, but I do get dyskinesia. At times. So it's, if you're interested in that, please let us know. And if you have any ideas, don't hesitate to comment and let us know. You look very what's the word? Lost in thought.
Oh, this is one of the things my wife has noticed, that I get more of a, I guess lack of expression, if you will, more that just kind of like
Parkinson's resting face, resting Parkinson's face.
That's my facial thing. Here, this may scare people.
And also, I'm gonna put out there, if anybody has any experience with social media marketing and that kind of thing, send us a line. We are looking for some behind the scenes people to grow our podcast. So and we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, X, and YouTube. So just put in the search bar.
Formerly known as Twitter.
And yes, and you can check us out on Spotify and Amazon Music and Apple. We're really big on Apple Music for some reason. And
it's the sound of our voice.
Wherever you hear podcasts, you can listen to us in the car. It's kind of weird because I have a daughter. My daughter is a huge BTS Army fan. The boy group from, she'll kill me saying boy group, but the group of 7 men who from South Korea, and the way they grew their base was through social media by like posting little blogs of what's going on during the day.
Mhm.
So that could be something you can do. Like put like a dash cam in your car, just how is your day going, and just do little shorts like that. We could do those. See what it's like.
Well, I'm going to advise not doing it. I'm going to advise not doing a camera in the car because it's hard enough for me to drive.
Or just like when you get up in the morning, what it's.
Hi, this is Tom coming live from Interstate 95.
Well, I have a lot of curves where I live. Those kind of roads. But a lot of people just sit in their car and, talk. So that's a biggie. Like doing little vacation blogs or, because with Parkinson's, never, I mean, I cannot stress enough what Gary said was never give up. There are days I want to, trust me, Tom knows that. But you just can't give up. There's always somebody out there that can help pick you back up. Lately, it's been Tom and my sister. So, and I appreciate him very much.
I can pick one. I can pick up a lot of things, but guns there, big guns.
Well, the fact I've lost a lot of weight too.
Big guns.
I've lost a lot of weight.
That's my humor, by the way. I don't know if it's good or bad.
But I just, in front of everybody live on, let's see, where are we? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. We're on all of those right now. Tom, you're an amazing man, and I thank Everett for choosing you to be my co-host on the podcast. So you have made my life better by your presence.
Oh, cool.
I
appreciate that. Same here, my friend.
So,
even though I'm not smiling, I have a stoic face. Stoic.
Apathy.
That's a smile, by the way. So I'll leave you guys with a smile because that much. How's that? Cute as hell, isn't it?
Well, if I smile too much,
well, we're gonna run. So until we meet again,
I'll look like a hillbilly because I'm missing a tooth.
By the way, tonight, 2 hours of pickleball tonight, guys. So if I can go play pickleball for 2 hours, you can go do something as well.
Yep. I think we're going to a concert, an outdoor concert, me and my sis, and my brother's coming over to sit with my mom. So, yep. And thank you for everything.
Well, enjoy your night. Say hi to your sister for me.
So
you got it. We'll talk to you soon.
I hope everybody has a great week. We will be back next week on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now we're on Instagram Live. So that's a new one. That's why we were a little late today. But we hope we encouraged you. You can always send us DMs on Instagram or Facebook or, however. And see you next week. I had surgery on my, I'll look like a hillbilly if I.
And I'm lagging terribly on my end.
Okay. So take care.
Oh, God, don't do that. That's a little gross.
See you next
talk
week.
To you later.
Park right here next week.
Bye-bye.
Same time, same bat channel.
Thank that station.